All right, I'd like to call this meeting of the Madison Board of Education Facilities Committee to order. It's 5:35.
6:35.
Sorry, 6:35. Thank you. We have a few items on our agenda. The first item is a update on our new facilities director and the start date.
Please, yeah. So, we hired Peter Anderson. I'm very excited about, introducing him when he comes. He's starting on, January 2nd. I've, met with him a couple times. He actually came to my office probably for 4 hours, after he was appointed as in the position. He's gonna come in, over the Christmas break and then officially start on the 2nd. He seems like a very exciting person to take over, and I'm very happy about the transition and looking forward to working with him, so.
And there's gonna be some overlap, you said, Bill?
Yes, he's starting on the 2nd of January, and my official, retirement date is July 1st, so I'll be for 6 months. So he'll be taking over, and I'm going to, assist him in any way that we can. We do have Felicia as the construction manager too, who's been, I've set her up to know all the projects, so there'll be a nice transition with that too. So we're really gonna take his lead and help him in any way we can, and I think that it'll be, exciting to have that kind of time frame, that kind of transition, and we have a lot of construction projects going, so there'll be plenty for us all to do and for him to learn all this stuff, so the number of projects is just significant.
As the board knows, we have the two position staff between us and the town. So the ultimate structure would be a facilities director and assistant facilities director. We'd look to hire the assistant to start sometime after July 1 when Bill completes his time. But we all knew, we've talked about this since Bill announced he was going to be retiring, that we needed a significant overlap, and we're thrilled we were able to meet that. And I think it'll be super beneficial to certainly Peter, but to the district as well. And Peter's been a teacher, a longtime teacher, so he brings that perspective as well, which is going to be very helpful. He joins us from Stonington Public Schools, which has a similar footprint to Madison Public Schools. He's got a lot of facilities management background. So it's great. As Bill said, that they've been connecting quite a bit already. So
Do they have rooftop units on their high school?
He knows about our rooftop unit problems. He's actually given me a couple suggestions. And he's already been involved. I'm keeping him in the loop on some of the bigger stuff. There's also a lot of town projects going on too. So, it's gonna be, I think, really good to have the transition. Felicia's only really part-time. She comes in a couple days a week. So it'll be nice for us to help him with the transition, and then for you to bring someone full-time to assist him in any way that he needs it. So, I think it's gonna be, I'm happy with the transition. I was always worried about it, making sure that it went well, and I'm very excited about it. I think it's gonna be very successful, and I'm sure he'll do a great job. You won't even know who I was or what I was doing.
Yeah, I don't think so. So just about the assistant, can you tell more about that, how that's gonna?
yes, so as the board will remember, when we came into this budget year, we had funded 50% of a construction manager, in the town had funded the other 50% of that construction manager. We did a round of hiring for that, and were unsuccessful in landing the right candidate for the job. First Select Woman and myself have had several conversations on this. We really feel that the best position is assistant facilities director, because of the amount of facilities that we have. We know that construction will be heavy, for the next several years, but there's also a lot of other needs too. And with Bill's, Peter's, and hopefully this new person's expertise, we have the construction expertise covered. Mm-hmm. And so Peter's been through construction projects in Stonington. He inherited two building projects at the elementary level, and so similar to what he's walking into here. So that's a good scenario for us, but that would be you know, kind of that position, what that position would morph into. So we looked at, like they said, hire around July 1.
Okay, higher on July 1, okay. Okay,
Yeah, I think a facilities person is a construction manager, that's part of the skills.
right,
You know, you might be just a construction manager, you might not have facility stuff, but if you have both, and you can't manage facilities without managing projects. It's just a basic skill that, so I think you're gonna get the best of both if you do the system. So, and then Peter will be here to select that person, which will
that's nice.
make it even nicer,
Yeah, that's good for him.
so.
Any questions or comments from the committee?
No, I just think, the transition plan makes a world of sense, you know, I'm happy to hear that it's planned out over those several months, because you know, there's an awful lot that you know when you bring to the table.
Yeah, keep you on speed dial.
Well, we can negotiate a remote position. I've talked to the superintendent about that. We haven't finalized the details, but I'm definitely gonna be traveling and I'm gonna be available by phone or computer. I'm happy to stay involved if so choose. But
Where are we in the process of the assistant? Facility director?
Not even started because the funding we used for this overlap, so we'll have the 2 people, you know, come next month. And then we would have 2 people starting July 1, it will just be Peter and the assistant, so we would probably post the assistant job, say March timeframe,
So we can be part of that process.
yes.
that's all I have on that one.
Okay, moving along to Brown School updates.
So, Brown School's pretty exciting. They're very close to being complete. The contractor for the east wing, or we call it the kindergarten, first grade wing. They're supposed to be done by the end of the year. I believe they will be. We're planning on,
The calendar year or the school year?
calendar year, January 1st. They're gonna start final cleaning the end of the week. They're just finishing up some stuff. There's some wall material that more of a graphic kind of thing that might not be in. And some other minor issues that might not be complete. So we had planned a, sort of final walk. The second week in January, because I'll be traveling the first week and I want to be there. So the second week in January, we're gonna have sort of a final walk. Invited the superintendent and the principals to make sure that they're happy with the product. The architect's gonna do the final punch list. But it's pretty exciting. So I think that wing will be done, there won't be 100% of all the IT stuff. We couldn't really start, with all the classrooms right away. We're sort of working out some of that stuff. I'll work with Art, we'll make sure that we got it covered, but definitely we could use some of the rooms if they wanted to right away. And we're talking about not part of the scope of the contractor is mounting some of these boards. We're looking at trying to mount the boards beneath the boards, if I say that correctly.
Yep.
So we could even do that, so they're actually using one of the rooms already, that they used early, that was, extra. So hopefully we'll get a couple rooms if we need them, and then we can use the rest, so that's pretty exciting.
That's great.
If I could just jump on that too, and compliment Bill. So in June, it had the layout of 6 classrooms, some, other small offices and a lot of equipment. And now it has a layout of 10 classrooms. It was completely gutted by probably July, some point in July. Bill moved his office over to the school for July and August and worked out of the school to keep on track of the construction and delivered on everything that we wanted to do, which was get all the heavy equipment, construction done before school started, and then, partition off the area, put a fence around, to keep safety, and did all the other work and did not distract the building whatsoever. You were in the building and you could not tell what was going on. It looks like a new construction. It looks like 10 brand new classrooms because it was completely gutted, and so it's new flooring, new ceilings, new everything. So it's really going to be a great space for K and 1, and there's bathrooms in each classroom, and so it really was a well done project. Now Bill's hard on himself about it, throughout, but it really came out well. So thank you for everything you did to make that happen.
Thanks. I really think the windows were huge. Every time I go up there, I'm just excited about, the windows were like 18 inches, now they're like maybe 36. The outside, you see a really nice finish, and they're under a little overhang, so we won't get any snow against them or anything, so it really brightened up the space. And like Dr. Cook said, it's a new space. There was always that, it's in the basement because it was always built into a hill, sort of small windows, you're sort of like in the ground, and we had humidity problems because when you're in a basement, we had moisture on the floor, so everyone was concerned about that space. We gutted it all out, resealed everything, and new tile in the bathrooms. It really, I'm looking forward to you guys seeing the space. It's gonna be really nice. And I think it's gonna be for elementary little kids, you're gonna be wow. I think it is. And we put some skylights in and we made some spaces in the hallway, so that there's some places that the kids can hang out.
When will we have an opportunity to tour it?
Probably later in January, early February, when we get that we could have like we did before, a facilities meeting over at the school.
Yeah, you could really do it anytime you want. I would say after the second week in January.
Yeah.
Great. And it's done a year and a half before it, had to be, so it does give that space back to Brown School, which is great for Brown School
Yeah.
right now.
And some of the IT stuff, why we are mounting it all, because we haven't decided, are we bringing some of it from this elementary schools, or are we gonna buy new? We really haven't worked that out. So, we can definitely figure that part out. We don't really need them all either, so. Why buy and put stuff up right now that we don't really need for 18 months? So, we need to work that out. So thank you. I think it's a very successful project too.
Super.
So the next thing at Brown, the summer of 24, the bids are due, on Friday, the 22nd. We're gonna get the bids due for, the project. So what we're looking at is millwork for all the classrooms. There's some old 1970 millwork in the classrooms. We're gonna replace that. We're gonna partition off the media center, I think. And so we're gonna separate the media center from the hallway, make it quieter. We're going to redo the corridors. There's some tired looking trim and stuff on the corridors and the flooring. We're gonna fix that up. The entrance to the gym, has some issues with the doors and the windows are fogged. They're just not, they need to be replaced both in the lower level and then the upper level that goes to the back. The cafeteria, we did that really nice courtyard, but if you look at the windows between the courtyard and the building, they're 1970s, fogged up. We're gonna replace those windows. So that's about the extent of it for this summer. That's a lot of work, and the bids will be due on the 22nd. We're gonna review them, make a selection, and I hope to have a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen for their first meeting in January, which I wrote it down, January 9th. I'm hoping that we have a recommendation. It might be a little tight. We might have to go to the second meeting in January, but I'm hoping not. So the bids are due in my office at 2:00 on Friday. I'm welcome you guys to be there if you'd like, be part of the review if you'd like. If not, I can handle it internally with the architectural firm and my staff, and we'll make the recommendation to the Board of Selectmen directly. But you're welcome to participate if you want. I can set something up Friday afternoon. You can review.
We trust you.
Okay.
We trust you.
I think you got this.
Any questions about the summer of 24? Summer of 25, we haven't finalized the details. We have a big plan and a big layout of all the things we want to do. I'm gonna meet with the principal and the architect, and we're gonna go over the final, details before we can, we have some estimates and we have some money in the budget. But that we really haven't have a final plan. We have some general items that we're gonna do, but we haven't finalized the detail. Like, for example, the band room we talked about, is the band room priority versus the furniture and the cafeteria furniture. Once again, we looked at the flooring in the cafeteria. It's old tile floor. We're gonna rip that out. Maybe we're not. So those are the things that we need to work with the principal and the administration on what are the priorities, how much funding can we do it? We'll put it all on the list, but we haven't really decided which is for summer of 25, what we might be able to wait for 26. So, and it's, the summer of 25, so we're a little ways, but we are
Yeah.
starting to plan it.
And is that when the playground would be?
The playground, yes, the playground would be summer of 25, that's been in the budget for a
Yeah.
while, it's in the CIP plan. That funding is in place, for approval this budget year. Any questions about summer of 25? All right, I'll go right to the next one, Polson.
Okay.
The Polson, basically the three main projects are the mechanical improvements, the update, the auditorium update, and the generator and switchgear. So as you know, the referendum approved the mechanical system, the auditorium. The generator and the switchgear is outside the referendum. And we believe that we're gonna be successful in getting $1 million federal grant. And we believe we're gonna get at least a $500,000 grant from the state. Peggy's been working diligently on both of those. I've definitely been helping her out, and so has Felicia. And then the accounting department has done the majority of the work for those grants. But it's about halfway there. We still need about another, million plus for the generator. So that's the only funding we don't have in place. We hired the BL company to do the design. They're on board. We're working out the final details of their contract and the schedule, but I'm hoping to have an update for you guys at your February meeting. February, I believe the 13th is your February meeting. Yeah, February 13th. So I hope to have an update, with a better description of what we're doing in the time frame. In my opinion, that's the most complicated project that the school has going. Even though the new school is significantly more money, it's off-site, it's construction over there, and then we'll move in and take over. This is gonna be a very sophisticated construction site with a whole building and students and staff in it. And it's multiple years. So every contractor says if we can reduce the schedule and we could save money and we can get it done faster and better. So once we have the design, then we can talk about, are we gonna hire a general contractor or are we gonna hire a construction manager that can help us with the schedule and figure out how to do it? I think that's gonna be the biggest thing is the schedule and the impact to the students. And how can we do that with the least amount of impact? And, I'll say it right now, we know that Jeffrey's coming offline. If somehow we could use Jeffrey to maybe move some swing space and then attack it more aggressively, that's the Bill McMinn idea. But we haven't come anywhere close to agreeing on that or even talking to the board or discussing it, but I figured I'd just throw the little carrot out there.
Thanks, throw see mistakes.
Yeah, I guess I should talk to Dr. Cook first, but.
He's going, what?
You'll be where when I call you about that?
So, once again, preliminarily, we haven't even finished the design, how we're gonna do it, how we're gonna schedule it. I just think we have to be thinking outside the box if we wanna reduce the schedule and try to get it done, and make budget, who knows, the economics hopefully are slowing down. I mean, construction projects are just crazy, the project, and the costs are just going, keep going up. I think that's all I had for that. We do have Polson, we do have a separate project, very significant as well as the bathroom renovations, the doors and hardware. Remember, this is a 1960 building and original bathrooms are still there. Of course, we've, improved the sinks and done fixture improvements, but we haven't renovated the bathrooms. They're the same tile. Some of the fixtures are the same. So we've hired Silver Petroselli. And they've, we had a meeting with them today. Felicia and I met with them today. We talked about, the schedule and the plan. They're gonna come in over the winter break and do a detailed review of all the spaces, the bathrooms and the doors and the hardware, so they can come up with ideas. I plan on meeting with Catherine Hart, the principal, to review the designs and make sure we agree on that. So we don't do anything that, is objectionable. And then we also plan on bringing it to your next meeting. I say it's the 13th or the 12th, looks like I have two different dates. So your February meeting, I did say the 13th and I wrote down here on the 12th, so I'm gonna look it up right now.
It's the 13th.
Thank you. So the 13th, so I have typo on the second one. February 13th is when we'll come to your next meeting. Hopefully update you on the Polson bathroom, the Polson MEP, where we are. And I assume that we're gonna be much farther along on the bathroom than we are on the MEP stuff. That's huge.
Yeah.
I do have one other project. I'm gonna update you at the Polson, it's the Daniel Hand High School rooftop unit designs. Also, we had our first meeting, we reviewed the bathrooms and the doors and hardware at Polson. We reviewed the HVAC systems at the Daniel High School. We went over the history. I met with Mr. Salutary just to confirm all the concerns and issues that we've been having with the rooftop units. In my lifetime as a facility person, those were the worst units I've ever had to deal with, the most expensive, they broke down the most, and getting the parts and getting them repaired was one of the hardest things that I've dealt with. And so I don't need to get into details. I did share my concerns, Mr. Salutary concerns with the architectural engineering firm. They actually did come out because we did have another failure on one of the systems. So they're, not only are they gonna look at how to help us long term, I asked them for some advice on short term. So an update hopefully on the 13th, and we will have an update on the 13th on where we are. I expect to be pretty far along by then.
We do expect to receive complaints on the gym temperature because of the failure of rooftop unit 9. Over the
So
winters.
cold.
It's
It will be
cold.
Yeah,
cold.
it's cold
So-
in there.
Was it a year ago? It was very hot, or
Yes.
2 years ago, it was very hot.
Last year it was really hot.
Yeah, and then the year before, it was very cold. And so, it's gonna be another cold one.
Yeah, unfortunately, we had the fan failure and the fan's as big as this desk. And you can't run, with it, half the things missing because it'll really blow apart. So we need to get it replaced, and to get it replaced, it's a custom built. I think they make it somewhere far away and it's custom built. They say 4 to 5 weeks, but it's never that short. It's 4 to 5 weeks once they order it and get the order. Then once they put it in, they do another testing for another 3 or 4 weeks. And it's gonna be a problem. We have the doors open, we have the heat coming in from the hallways, we have the heat on 24/7 to keep the building warm. So the interior walls will be okay, but there is a perimeter wall. So it's gonna be difficult when it gets really cold. It's gonna be substantial. There won't be anything freezing because there's no water on those exterior walls. But it won't be warm in the gymnasiums. So, but we won't give up and we'll keep trying. I think that's all I had for project updates. Anybody have any questions on projects or anything that I may not have told them about projects?
Can I just ask about? Did you say we were postponing putting in for the reimbursement grant for the rooftop units at the high school until 25?
Yes, because,
We don't have, sorry.
oh, yeah, no, the timeframe, the only piece that we would be able to get reimbursement for, it would be the Polson design of the project, because Polson, we have the money secured for it. But we won't have expended enough to get the full reimbursement. You can only apply once. Daniel Hand, at this point, we don't have, we have the money for the design work, but we do not have the money for the whole project. So, and again, because you only can do the grant application once, we've decided to hold off on that, and then they will, the plan is that they'll put more money into the grant program for next year, and so we'll hopefully get reimbursement at that point. It also helps our case in that they want the buildings to be over 20 years old, because pretty much any system other than ours would last longer than 20 years. And
Yes.
and so we would be able to make a better, slightly better grant application for that. Polson, we feel very good about because that's an older system. It does not have AC now. And we'd be putting AC into a building that, doesn't have it.
One of the other shortfalls is that we don't have a final design.
Yeah.
We have preliminary ideas and estimates. Now we'll have a construction document, an engineer doing a full design with estimated updates. So we'll be able to give that with the application too. That was what we didn't have.
Yeah.
And we didn't have the funding in place for the Folsom ones. Well, as of July, we should have the funding in place, therefore we can get the reimbursement for the whole project, not just the design. So there was multiple reasons. And once again, I brought Felicia on board to help me. She did a great job. She went to the seminar, she learned all this stuff. She came back with the rules and said, it's different than last year. This year it's more complicated. You have to have this, you have to have that. We don't have it. So I think we'll be more successful. We'll have more success in funding availability if we wait and apply next year. Great question. Okay, so the only other thing is the paper towels. So I'm happy to talk about paper towels. I definitely looked in all our facilities to see what we had for hand dryers and what we had paper towel for. And basically, there's only really the high school that has hand dryers. That's primarily at the high school, other than we just renovated all the bathrooms at Brown. So bathrooms at Brown have hand dryers as well.
And no paper towels.
And no paper towels. And the principal at Brown School, I did not talk to the principal at the high school, but I did talk to the principal at Brown School just because I was confirming what was up there today, because I wanted to make sure I knew, because I had forgotten what was in there and we just did it. So he likes in the bigger bathrooms, and it's 4th and 5th graders, he likes the hand dryers. They're new, they work really well. He's had no complaints, and he doesn't have paper around him on the floors. I mean, and I think that's, my understanding is, one of the issues is paper towels don't always make it into the basket, and the basket always fills up because you can never get them big enough because they're puffy when they throw them in, and they sometimes make it to the floor. So I talked to him today at length about that. So really the high school is the primary area, and I know
I
that.
thought there was a bathroom though, a couple bathrooms in Brown that had hand dryer and no paper towel.
So yes, so I just said generally at Brown School, there's definitely, I'd say about 50% of the smaller bathrooms have both. I'm not really sure why. I think there was a time frame that when this originally started, we bought very sophisticated hand dryers. And it was the ones you put your hands in, and they were a lot of money. Since then, we bought less expensive ones, and we did a promotion to try to get them in as many bathrooms as we could, because we thought it saved money, saved paper, saved managing the paper and waste. So we were on a kick to do that. So we were trying to, wherever it was feasible, because putting power in these bathrooms is sometimes very difficult. So the ones that were easy, we put the hand dryers in. The ones that weren't, we didn't. So there are random bathrooms. I think there's even one at Jeffrey School that we put in that I don't think we use anymore. So basically, Ryerson has nothing, paper only. Jeffrey might have one, but I don't even think it's operating. I think we turned it off at COVID and never turned it back on. Because, I believe the staff, my feeling is that the staff prefer hand towels. That's the feedback that I've gotten. So once again, especially when COVID came, we just put hand towels back in everything, and we haven't really aggressively changed back to anything. We've just been sort of status quo since COVID, except for at the high school and the new ones we put in at Brown. So the high schools, definitely the bigger bathrooms all have hand dryers only. They have some of the original ones that were more expensive that, are older, and then some of the newer ones that should be smaller and sleeker. And the single bathrooms at the high school have paper.
And all the staff, faculty bathrooms have paper.
Yes, those are the single bathrooms. The single bathrooms are staff, and there's some that the students can use too as well. Yes, they have paper.
So, originally, at the beginning of COVID, we had to install paper towel dispensers in all the bathrooms at hand because they had the hand dryers.
Yes,
And then last year, they were removed.
yes.
And so. I
Was it
don't know.
last year? I don't remember the years, but I agree with you in the concept. We put them in and then we took them out. So COVID started in 2020, and then we probably put them in there close to after that, and then we took them out soon after that too, after, it was
Just
just,
about a year and a half.
right.
So, as you are aware of my issue, you guys all got the documentation. There's a ton of studies out there. Before COVID, there were studies that were done. They were mostly smaller studies. They weren't randomized, double-blind controlled studies. And the newer studies, pretty much show that there is less bacteria and fungi and viral spread when you use paper towels to dry hands. And when you use, especially the high airflow dryers, that there is much more spread throughout the bathroom. And as you know, these are industrial toilets, they do not have lids, so everything is flying about the room. The lower speed hand dryers do it to a lesser degree than the higher speed ones. But overall, the best use, if you want to prevent hand contamination with bacteria and fungi and viruses, would be to utilize paper towels. Now, way back when there was a club that is now no longer in existence at Hand, and they had pushed for, let's save the trees and save paper towels and put in electric hand dryers. And this was a long time ago. It was before everyone. Now we use all recycled paper towels. So you're already having an environmental impact in that respect. And, it's good to listen to what the students want. And at the time, that's what they wanted. And then based on the petition that was done, it's clear that the students want paper towels back. I think that especially at the high school level, you're not going to be having as great degree as a middle school with the mess. And it's cleaner for the students. I know many times the hand dryers do not work and the kids have minimum time. They complained about the noise when they start and restart multiple times to get their hands dry, how much time it takes when they're trying to go between classes when they have minimum time. And, you spilled something on your clothing, you don't have anything to clean it off with, pick up from lunch, go in the bathroom. Maybe you're in the gym, you sweat a lot, you want to wipe your sweat, you spill your water bottle or your coffee or your hot chocolate, whatever they got going over there in high school. There's nothing to clean it up with. There are select, of course, rooms like the science labs that have paper towels, but most of them don't. And so at this point, then you say, well, we can't always listen to what the students want all the time because they want them, they don't want them. So then I think it's our job to really look at, I think. I think then you have to look at overall, what is best for the students? What do they want? What do the faculty and staff want? And about being equitable. And I think, also, we've had visiting sports teams that are like shocked that there's no paper towels in the bathrooms. And it's just, to me, it seems like an obvious thing. Almost everyone I talk to prefers paper towels. And yes, it is increased trash, but our facilities, custodians, they're already emptying trashes. It's not like there is none at the high school. There are bathrooms already that have, as Bill said, the single-use bathrooms and faculty bathrooms, some of those that already have paper towels. And I just think that they should all have them. You shouldn't have to seek out a bathroom that has a paper towel. You shouldn't have to use your sweater to mop up a spill from your water bottle. I just think it's like such a basic thing. And I don't think that we need, let's vote for, extra $30,000 because it's supplies. And it was in the budget before. When you stopped using the paper towels and removed the dispensers in the high school, that money went to something else. So if we need, to add more money for supplies, whether it's toilet paper, tissues, paper towels, soap, whatever, that's a supply thing that we will always fund. And so I think that we need to be equitable and across the board. And I think every school, every bathroom should have paper towels. You know, if you order paper towels, they give you free dispensers. That's not an issue. And I just think, enough. Let's just do it. Welcome.
Thank you for your comment. Does anyone have questions or comments about this?
No? We've covered this ground.
We've beaten this dead horse.
That's another way of putting it.
I agree with a lot of what you said, and I think it makes sense at this point. To honor. With the current cohort of students in that school have asked to be done. Compared to a prior cohort, that
It was a
whose club
different
is no
time.
longer.
Right, but it was a different time,
Yeah,
you know.
and I think we do owe it to the students to be able to take the lead on certain things. That, if it's just a matter of preference, it's not gonna kill us, if that's what the kids want, then that's what the students want, then. Maybe it's time to consider changing our way and going back to that, but the one suggestion I have is. Maybe we can make this a broader teaching moment and kind of cut a deal with the students. Say, look, we hear this is what you want. Here are some of the concerns about it. It can create a mess. The paper towels don't always find their ways into the trash bins. Some
But that's
people,
also more of an issue at the middle school than at the high school.
yeah, sometimes kids, make, paper, spitballs, whatever, and throw it at the wall, all these things. And so maybe we say, look, we'll do it on a trial period, on a trial basis. And if you show you can be mature and use paper towels properly, then you'll get exactly what you want. But I mean, get a little buy-in from the students that will hopefully be appreciated by our maintenance staff as well. Our custodial staff, and also not be as wasteful. And again, I also agree that it should be recycled paper, but we've always used that throughout the district, so that's not really an issue.
The cost, it's not free to do this, right? So we do need to account, like you said, in supplies, and we're in budget season, but I'm just curious. How this works in the budget, we do a lot of cutting and pasting and adding, so is this doable?
Yeah, what I would ask Bill to do is increase his supplies, because I think what has happened, we added to it last year because of increased costs. We were able to make it through COVID because we had funds from the ESSER grants to purchase things. So we purchased wipes and paper towels and things like that through that process. I think that Bill and I are ready to take action when we're notified that you want us to. I think the two things I would say is one, that we would need to increase the budget, and I think we're.
Can I just make a comment on that?
Yep.
though? So every year we return money to the town from what we have in excess. And that excess would more than cover that amount. And I know that we said, okay, we're gonna increase, how much we're gonna put in a special ed fund, whatever, but there's still excess.
Right.
And so do we need to actually increase that fund, or do we just not give so much back next year? Or take it back from that fund and say, well, we used to spend it on it and now we want it back. 30,000 is not,
So no, it's a good point, but what we do is we budget each line item as it would trend. So we never budget one that we would say, okay, well, this one's gonna land, $30,000, $25,000 short. And then at the end of the year, typically on a $60 million budget, we end up with less than 0.5% extra. And then, that's returned to the town, and we try and work with the town to potentially
but what I'm
support
saying is we
the town.
don't have to increase it by 30,000 because we gave more than that back.
But
Can
then
we just ask for it back?
each year, we're gonna run a negative in this account and be relying on that, each year. So we know, I don't know that we want to set ourselves up or enter that type of budgeting. Do you know
I
what I mean?
understand what you're saying, but
yeah.
what I'm saying is every single year we have access.
Correct.
We give to the town.
Right,
So maybe that access is 30,000 less, because it is way more than that.
But we would still have to, yeah, I mean, in effect, yeah, but your argument in effect
Instead of
is,
increasing our budget by that 30,000. And then keeping the excess the same, and I'm saying, just don't have as much excess, and I understand you're saying you need to budget it in, but I'm saying. Why are we giving so much back to the town if if we are saying to the taxpayers, this is what we need for our budget, and every year we have excess that we give back. Then just not give as much back, I'm positive
because
that it will cover it.
because we're always concerned about the year that it snows heavy, that we have lots of maternity leaves, that we have, all the things happen, fuel costs go up mid-year, things like that, like, so. Those are the years that we get concerned and we're not gonna be able to turn it back, and then someone's gonna say, well, why did you purposely not fund this account appropriately? I think we can look at, I mean, the impact would be less than a 0.01%. Again, the impact of adding $15,000 to Bill's supply line would not be major. We could do it for this year, if we're asked to do this for January, that would come out of that potential end of the year funds. So we would do that, but for next budget year, I'd wanna budget appropriately.
I think that we
So we
should,
could
we
do
should take a look at the excess that we have every year. Cause even the years that we have like tremendous tree damage and snow removal. We've never come to the end of the year and not had something
Right.
in excess.
But yes, but
And I know
will
we're
say
always trying
yeah,
to cushion
we
that
try to
special
be-
education
yes,
budget because you never know. But at the same time, continuing to have excess that we return to the town, I think it should be a little.
I hear your point, but I'd be afraid. To go to what a lot of districts do, which is use it or lose it budgeting. I think that concept risks us losing faith with the town. Because every year there would be the perception that we're trying to spend up to every last dime. So that we don't lose any money and we're spending it on frivolous things. We haven't taken that approach, and we haven't done that in Madison for a long time. And I just would caution, especially over something as monetarily insignificant as adding this supply line or adding to the supply line a few $1,000s. I would caution against changing our whole budgeting philosophy. Because there have been years that I've been on the board where, we were able to pull it out in the end, but we had to embargo funds in certain lines that involved student learning. So I would just, I think your point is excellent about the supplies, and I think we ought to consider a way to add that to the supply costs in a way that will not in any way, shape, or form break the bank or cause our budget to be thrown over into ridiculous territory or anything.
The decider for me, as important as student voices, and I really value it. The health considerations, I mean, we did this during COVID for a reason.
Right.
About every 6 months, we hear of some new respiratory issue that's going through the state. With new vaccines and so forth. So from the standpoint of looking out for student and staff health, and there's this sufficient difference in the two offerings to justify a shift to paper, period, and couched from the terms of the board that, our belief is, based on looking at the research, that this is a health protection choice.
And certainly, I'm not saying to remove the hand dryers, if people choose to use them, that's their choice. Or if for some reason there aren't paper towels, then there's a hand dryer. For some reason, the hand dryer is broken, there are paper towels, and it's just, we don't want to be wet kids.
So it makes sense to put that to a vote of the committee.
I mean, do we need board? I don't think we need board action on this necessarily.
And the superintendent is to agree and
No,
not do it.
I think
I think we're.
Yeah, I think I've got enough direction there, and then I will ask Bill to update.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, I don't, this is a facility committee, this, I
Yeah,
don't think this is a big,
We're not gonna talk about toilet paper next, are we?
You just wait, Diane, you never know.
Found out.
So yeah, cut that-
I gotta start doing my
I
research.
really think it was a facility decision to put them in. When we discussed it openly, no one made a motion or no one, we
Yeah.
just agreed to do it. Now we'll agree to put paper back in and it's the will of the committee and the superintendent, I'm in.
I'd like to know though, is
Yeah.
there a way that, and I know that there is a way, but I don't know if we have a way, because I've talked to some people I know that work in a different state and district. That like if there's a problem with a computer, right, you would go to tech, you like open up trouble ticket.
Yes.
And then, so is there a way that we can let our custodians know, hey, there's a hand dryer broken in the bathroom, the girls' bathroom or whatever?
You know how IT does it? They got that from me. Cause we've had school dudes since 2002.
And so do we use it?
So all the secretaries have access to it. And at one point, we only would let them put in requests on School Dude. But now we sort of loosened up. If they call us, if they email us, if they put it on School Dude, it doesn't really matter anymore. So as long as the secretary in the main office tells us there's a problem, there's a head custodian in every school, he's on it. If the custodian finds out about it, he doesn't need to get an email or a request. If someone says there's something wrong, he takes care of it.
So how do the students, and how does the information get from students or teachers or staff or faculty to the secretary
So
to school dude?
I assume that the teachers have to put in this
That's it.
School Dude request, cause I've gotten them. And I assume the secretaries definitely, so it used to be really formal, and I'm saying we backed off a little bit, and they can just tell the head custodian, hey, Pete. the
I think
bathroom's
that's not
broken."
happening.
Okay, so that, and it, we're really talking about the high school,
Yeah.
because the other schools are much smaller and they don't even have them, so we're talking about the high school. So I don't know how the staff and the students communicate, but they can easily with us. I don't think
I
this.
don't think they communicate well.
So, yeah, and so I don't know how to fix that, but I'm definitely, I could talk to TJ about that, it's just, the principal of the school. I don't have an answer, but I can definitely talk to the principal. The students should be able to talk to the staff,
Right.
who should be able to put in a request.
I know,
That's-
I guess, but I feel like the teachers are busy, like they're,
So you want the students to be able to put in a request?
I don't
I don't
know.
think I'm against that either, I mean,
they all have Chromebooks.
Yeah.
And they're the ones using it and they're the ones who are gonna know.
yes.
And,
So
and a lot of times it's like, they might leave at the, at the end of class, whatever, and they're not gonna tell the next
Right.
teacher or which teacher, you know what I mean?
Maybe talk to TJ, see what he thinks.
I will
Yeah,
definitely
that's-
talk to TJ. It
Okay.
used to be that, the teachers would send it and the principal had to sanction it. I think that ended a
Sure, we
long
can
time
figure
ago.
this out.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that will be a topic I will talk to Mr. Salutary about and see if we can come up with a way for the staff and the students to put requests in easier.
And on a similar yet not same note, so, there's a new policy, that we have to install feminine hygiene products in certain bathrooms. And
Yes,
so I just didn't know, that's gonna be done,
set the direction of the principal.
Ah.
So whatever the principal tells me to do, that's what I do. Of course, the superintendent can overrule me, but and I'd have to say, I follow directions of the principal. And they all know the law and they tell me where they want them and I do what they tell me. I mean, it's not a problem. It used to be, historically, we put the things up and the staff at the high school would actually take the money and buy the product and put
Oh,
it in.
jeez.
oh my gosh.
We ended that a long time ago. I buy the product, I put it in. I think it's free now. I
Yeah,
don't think. it's
yeah, it has to
money.
be free and it has to be in all bathrooms, third grade.
Yeah, so I put in whatever the principal tells me.
okay.
And any bathroom he wants, it's not, once again, it's a minor cost. I don't know why we did it before that way. We took that out a long time ago, the cost. But, and then they didn't work well, they were broken, we got all new ones. I wanna say way before it became the law,
Yeah.
we fixed that problem.
But you know the policy I'm referring
Yeah,
to.
in boys and girls, and so if the state's watching, I will say we have not put them in the third grade boys bathrooms at Ryerson and Jeffrey. So
But it doesn't
we're
go
out of
effect
compliance
yet.
for that.
It's not, I thought it's not in effect yet.
Yeah, when it goes, I don't
It's like-
plan to, because I think then we'll have plumbing issues.
That's what I was mentioning.
Yeah, no, the principal's handling it at every school
Okay.
appropriately,
Perfect.
and I follow.
We don't need a line item for that either.
No. No,
Okay,
no,
All right.
great,
well, thank you for your support of People Power.
anytime.
Thank you for all.
Any other questions for me?
And seriously, thanks to
Okay,
Jackie
sorry.
for all of her, I mean, really great legwork on that.
You did a lot of research on
And the presentation was excellent.
I think that for them, because I'm sure she won't watch this meeting.
Before we adjourn, the last item on our agenda is public comment. Do we have any members of the public who'd like to speak in person or online? No. Okay. All right, seeing that, we will adjourn at 7:00.